What's going on, man?
Good to see
How's
you.
it going? Good to see you.
Sit here?
Hi.
Yes, yeah. Have a seat. Dave Portnoy is here. Our the latest person to be in charge of a channel
Yeah.
here at Sirius XM.
That's right.
It's Rush Channel 93.
Well, that's where the show's on.
Right. Well, Barstool is on 12 to 2 on Rush Channel 93, but you guys are getting your own channel here.
Right. And it's still going to be 93. I think we're just flipping the name.
To the Barstool
Oh, so they're
Sports
giving you
Channel.
Rush?
Yeah.
So is everybody at Rush like, fuck Barstool?
I'm trying to stay away from the Rush people because I don't know what's happening.
They're going to be fucking pissed.
What is Rush?
It's combat sports.
But we're not going to have that channel anymore.
Maybe it's moving. I don't know.
that's
Now we're getting
hilarious.
deep into like the guts of what's happening in Sirius, which I don't have the answers for.
Okay.
I know this. I know that's our channel.
They're going to be pissed, dude.
Yeah. So if there was a combat channel on there, it's not going to be on there come January.
That's amazing.
They're going to move it somewhere else if they keep it.
Yeah, maybe it'll be online exclusive. Sometimes they do that.
A lot of hypothesizing, guessing that I have no idea.
What
Right.
happened with you guys in ESPN? Was that a bad fit to begin with, or did they screw you?
I would say they screwed us. It was also a bad fit. They liked Dan and they liked PFT, so they liked Pardon My Take. It was popular. It was big. They didn't like Barstool. They never liked Barstool. I knew they didn't like Barstool. They'd look me across the table and say, we don't like Barstool, but we like them. In hindsight, maybe you shouldn't go into business with somebody like that. But
Did that offend you or bother you because it's your brand?
Yeah, it did. But it was good for those guys, and if we got our name out there, I have a belief. I think Barstool's good. I think people who don't know about us, if we find them, if we can reach our demo, we generally win. So yes, it offended me, but I just kind of bit my tongue. I'm like, let's roll with this and see what happens.
And you made them put the name Barstool on the show,
Yes.
right? They wanted to take the name off.
Yep.
And what finally got them to put the name on? You said without it you don't get the show?
There was no way I was doing it. Basically, in a weird way, I thought ESPN just thought I or Erica, who's our CEO, that we were stupid. Like, yeah, we're going to let you take two
bunch
of our
of kids in a little website that they have.
Yeah.
We're just going to take two of your better guys, two of your best guys. We're going to make it seem like they're full-time ESPN employees, make it seem like it's our show and you guys have nothing to do with it. They weren't paying us a ton of money. And it's like, why would we ever do that? So the trade for us was put our logo front and center, put it everywhere.
It's a commercial.
Yeah. So there's and we knew they'd get blowback on it. We knew it because of any time we do something, there's blowback. So for us, it's like, all right, you get them, but you're going to take a lot of heat. And they thought they were ready for the heat. They weren't.
Were you shocked that I mean, literally one episode. Were you surprised it was the first episode?
Yeah.
Usually you give something 3 or 4.
But it wasn't even the episode, right? It was like it happened to have been one episode, but it's not like they saw the episode and were like, we can't air this.
Correct. In a weird way, it's so Barstool. Like we're planning on doing, I want almost like a Rocky Horror Picture Show once a year on the air date, like rent out a big theater and just rerun the first episode. Have people like dress up because who gets a show? Who has one show of anything?
Right.
And we may be the only people that's ever happened. One show.
Right.
I mean, that's impossible.
And no specific, and it's the show is exactly delivered as it was promised.
Right.
Like
They
there
did
was
say that, though.
They did say
Yes.
that. What Skipper said, the ESPN, the guy who runs ESPN, his main thing was in hindsight, we thought we could separate ourselves from Barstool with the Barstool show, and we think they're going to say something in the future that's going to cause problem. All stuff that, well, then why'd you do the show in the first place?
What was it? Did they cite something in the episode, or did they just say
No, it was
it's the
Sam
name?
Ponder. It was stuff that one of their own employees, Sam Ponder, I had trashed 3 years prior, and she on basically the eve of the show brought it up. And I don't think anybody...
She did intentionally, you think?
Oh,
Yeah.
1,000%. It was a well-held grudge, which I sort of respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, ESPN knew. They brought the complaints to them before our show, and they said, we don't care. We're doing it. We want their audience. We think it's a good fit. They did not anticipate her going public with the complaints, which she did and caused... and especially in the climate we're in right now with the Weinstein stuff, it just... Anything that even though it has nothing to do with that, everything is just getting rolled into one big mess.
You had trashed her publicly for her work or her appearance or what was? I don't even know what the trash was.
I trashed her twice. She wrote a tweet, or she tweeted during the Ray Rice stuff, that she doesn't understand how a website that puts up pictures of pretty girls can now condemn Ray Rice for punching his fiance.
Sure.
And I ripped her for that because to me, that's like, how can you not disassociate? Like I can say a girl's hot and put a picture of a girl in bikini.
You don't advocate hitting them when you put them up?
I do not.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah,
All
the
right.
Sports Illustrated swimsuit model isn't followed up with fucking jaw surgery ads.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, to me, it was an outrageous take, and I ripped her, and at the end of it, I actually called her a Bible thumping freak, which I think she didn't like.
That's not even that bad.
And by the way, her husband, there was an article like last week. He just came out. She was married to an NFL quarterback. He's been retired for like 4 years. He just said he no longer blames God for when he stunk in the NFL.
He just now is
Just
stopped.
now.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Just now.
Okay.
So
I like that he's blaming God, though. They always thank God. One guy is like, fuck you. I fucking 4
and
interceptions.
it's like everything she does is like a quote from the Bible, and fine, whatever you think. But so I wrote that blog in a colorful thing, and then the other. So that was one of them, which I actually totally stand by because I thought her tweet was ridiculous. Big Cat and I we do like a pick'em podcast, NFL games. She went through a phase. She used to be the reporter on ESPN Game Day, college football, and I watch college football. I love that show, and she had a kid, and the kid started showing up in every telecast. And I was like, enough of this kid. I don't want to see the kid anymore. She dressed super conservatively. I said something that I called her slut. I wish I didn't. I said, stop being a prude, you slut, which makes no sense. And I just was slinging it, and I can't sling it like that anymore because if you use those words, people come back and they attack us. We're open for it. I wish I didn't use that word, but that was what she brought up.
Even though stop being a prude, you slut, is like saying
exactly.
It's silly.
It makes no sense.
And she's not a slut,
But
obviously.
Exactly. So that was my point, but nobody
Slut
ever
shaming
says
is such
that.
a thing
Right,
now.
but
that
it
you
wasn't.
can't-
It
No.
wasn't
I get the
slut-shaming.
meaning of it, but the word.
Right, exactly.
Right.
It just it raises now, and then we do what our crowd does. We dug up a million tweets. Our crowd, she's using the word slut in all her tweets 3 years ago.
Is she really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, that's fair then.
Yeah,
that's fair.
That's how I would look at it, but that's not how, we have this image about us, and we're white guys that probably are we have a long history of battling for whatever reason with, and I don't want to say feminists in one way because there's a lot of women who consider themselves feminists who love us. They're like, wait a minute, don't tell us what to laugh at.
Sure.
We get there trying to make jokes, but for whatever reason, we've had a long history. And we make fun of everybody, probably like you guys. We don't care creed, color, race, gender. We make fun of you, myself included. I say that. I'm like, we make Jew jokes. I'm Jewish. I'm the most anti-Semitic Jew who's ever lived because people don't know it. Like, they're anti-Semitic. They don't. It's like, wait a minute, time out. Like,
Sure.
We're not. But that group, and especially right now, people think we hate women, which is wildly untrue. So if you say, hey, Dave Portnoy said slut 3 years ago, doesn't matter the context, doesn't matter anything. It's game on, and people come from every side of the internet to attack us.
I think it's interesting that you guys like. It's to me. I feel like if I were running Barstool, I would not be trying to associate with big brands like ESPN or even Sirius or any of these things because I feel like you guys have been successful because you've been able to live inside your own bubble where people who want the content can come get the content, and people that want to fuck with you cannot penetrate the bubble because it's your thing. The minute that you start associating with bigger brands, that's when people can come and get you, and you kind of get too close to the sun. Right?
Yeah, we've had both. I mean, I think ESPN Sirius, I think, is obviously very different and much more supportive.
It's uncensored here too.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a huge step. But in the end, I looked at the ESPN thing and I thought about it. I'm like, if you said, hey, Dave, this is going down the same exact way. You do the deal, but it's going to be one show. People are going to say the worst thing ever. Would you do it again? I probably would, because the good thing we have, Churn & Group, who bought us, that's who we did the deal with, literally gave me content control. And they haven't wavered. They really haven't backed down. They knew what they were getting into. So, yeah, it creates all this controversy, but the message that was going across the country, hey, there's some rogue, very un-PC outfit running around the internet. That's why I was doing the ESPN show to begin with, to get that message out.
I thought they did these guys a favor, though,
I did,
unintentionally, because ESPN now is seen as this fucking Disney-owned, nothing controversial. And then here you guys come like these fucking drunken maniacs, and they make the mistake of signing you up. And then in one episode, they're like, get out. We can't have this.
Right.
I think that made you guys look good.
I think sports fans were able to look at like Barstool, who most are already exposed to you, but people who weren't are like, wait a minute, those are the guys like me. And then I feel like ESPN and all the press that went on after that well, some people were like, oh, this is terrible for Barstool. I was like, that's a better commercial than having your logo on their TV once a week.
Totally.
Ever would have been.
Totally. The business side where it gets a little tricky is, we had some advertisers, just like the Keurig thing that's going on,
Sure.
It just outside influences can then, even if they don't believe, it's like, is this worth the headache of people calling up, not back? And the people who call up are the people who get offended. Like the ones that get mad about this, they're the same people who will create a commotion. It'll be interesting. If Twitter didn't happen, like what? Like I feel like 95% of people couldn't get their voice across.
The helpful part would be if you're people who like you guys called advertisers that abandon you or fuck with you. That's what the Keurig thing is interesting.
Yes.
Is because
Both
they're sticking up for Hannity by doing that. So sometimes if people who like a show stick up for it instead of just people who hate it targeting it, it balances out and the advertisers won't back out because if they know that you have more people supporting them being on your show, they won't walk away.
And I believe this. I've said this a lot. Like I really believe our crowd, for the most part, is the silent majority. Like most people don't have that knee-jerk reaction. Man, I'm going to start complaining to sponsors, or they just want to like laugh and go along their day. So we continue as long as, and part of what we do, we got to just stay. Barstool's always been good, not being dependent on just big brand advertising, whether we sell merch or we do events or whatever, where our consumers can support us directly.
Do you worry based on like where the culture is going that inevitably you guys are going to have to soften? You guys are going to have to become not like totally sort of PC and super just happy, nice to everybody, but continue the way you can't say slut anymore. Like just continue to dial back.
No, it's weird because before this, I feel like we're in a very strange bubble, and it almost is the combo. I think it's Trump, the Weinstein thing. It's like this weird bubble. But I've been doing it for 15 years, and I'd consistently say everything's moving our way. Like the content on the internet, like more people are trying to be similar to what the stuff we're doing than vice versa. And I think we'll come out of it. We're just in a weird, sensitive spot right now.
Plus, even as you, like Sam said, if you have to start like dialing back a teeny bit, it's not like the culture is staying stagnant and you're dialing back to the culture, because the culture is always dialing back.
Yeah, so you're just matching.
Yeah, like so even if you go back 2 clicks, the culture has gone back fucking 3 clicks.
Right.
So you're still going to be considered uncomfortable for a lot of people, or oh my God, they're saying this. Like, or maybe you can't go out and say the things we could say in 1990. But you can still do a lot more than most people.
And just being smarter about it, like using the word slut. Like I've said, I should just, and I used to, I should just call guys sluts and like guys cunts and girls dickheads. Like there's little ways to like get around it. Or just say like instead just child words. Instead of saying that, just call everyone like poo-poo heads. Like I know it sounds ridiculous, but I can say the same exact thing, get my meaning across, and just change like a little word, and I think we'll be the same, but it just doesn't we just don't put the ball on tee for people who hate us.
Well, that's what it is. Like you're the comment, stop acting like a prude, you slut. It's all about the words.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the meaning or what you're actually saying. It's just the triggering, quote unquote, words that are being used, and you can easily get that same exact sort of smart message out there without using those
doing
words.
that, right?
And by the way, in that context, I think prude is the insult, because you're saying, "Hey, you're a slut, so stop acting like a prude." I think prude is almost the insulting word in that context.
Yeah, it was the whole.
Slut.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I just say it in ways that. Like, I stand by that whole rant. I don't think guys are watching Game Day to watch Sam Ponder, young males, tote her baby around the television. Like, that was and I just do it in a Barstool way, which is just talking like I talk to a buddy at a bar.
Do you think ESPN, they're losing subscriptions? There's something happening there, and it's maybe because the internet, people don't need it as much as they used to. They don't need the fucking sports scores to go watch. They can just get it on your phone.
Yep.
I also think the fact that they fire people, they don't stand by people who say things, so they have this zero bite to them anymore. But I don't see ESPN being around forever. I think they're eventually going to go under.
I don't know. They're not my favorite people right now, but they're still a behemoth. The game rights.
Aren't they losing those? Aren't they not doing it past this contract?
I don't know. I don't know what their current. I mean, I think that's why they're in so much problems, because they signed these huge contracts and then everything moved kind of technology-wise, internet-wise, and just naturally people are watching less. But I don't see them going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, I hate them and I still watch them just because there's certain things I gotta watch for what we do.
So what are you gonna do on your channel? You only got till January. That's kind of a quick build up to it. Are you just gonna put like the Barstool podcast on the channel?
So the podcast will run on the channel. We have our existing show, which will currently, and then we're going to launch 3 more shows, I believe. Pat McAfee, who works for us, the ex-Colts punter, real funny dude, is going to have one. I think we're going to have Dallas Braden, who is an actually ex-ESPN guy, ex-Oakland A pitcher, and Brian Wilson, the guy, remember the guy with the beard for the Giants?
Oh, yeah.
They're going to have a show. They're like both weirdly very
Was it
funny.
Hughes a relief pitcher?
Yep.
Okay.
And it's weird because one of those things, you know, a lot of the guys at ESPN are probably pretty funny, but under ESPN, they have like handcuffs on them.
Yeah.
So we take the handcuffs off, and these guys are like, whoa, we didn't know they have those personalities.
And I guess that's part of it, right? The reason you want to get connected is because it's one thing to go to ESPN, people who used to work at ESPN, and be like, hey, I'll give you a podcast on Barstool. It's another thing to be like, you can have a show on Sirius XM Barstool.
Yep, and it helps with the talent. And then we hired Julie Stewart-Binks, who is a very funny woman who's, again, someone you take the handcuffs off. And then we're looking. We said there's so many people, I think, who like what SiriusXM can offer, and us, it's like just totally unfiltered. Like, we'll stand behind you. You can say whatever you want. So we're looking for other people. We said that because we got 24 hours to fill, basically.
Yeah, it's a lot of time.
Yeah.
A replay would give you a replay.
Yeah, no, we'll be in the replay business. We'll be in the replay business.
So do you? One thing that you guys have kind of become notorious for is not taking the high road necessarily.
We never take the high road.
Right.
We live on the low road. We live in the
great
mud.
place, isn't it?
We're the kings of the mud.
Like, you never know on a given evening who you've decided to just go to war with.
You're right.
Like I feel like they're just like little, because like the Barstool fans are maniacs.
Right.
And they're so I mean, they're similar to the fans here, but like they're so in tune to everything that nobody says anything about Barstool without it getting back. And the minute anybody, like, it could be some schlocky DJ in like Sheboygan, he says something about
Welcome
Barstool.
to the mud.
Fuck it, like you take your platform of like millions of people. Fuck this guy.
Yeah. That's something that people who don't like us criticize. We are not very good at turning the other cheek. So if you insult us and we find out about it, we respond, and it doesn't even matter if I respond or one of our bigger personalities respond, that then everybody's like basically collectively turns their head. It's like, who is this guy who just came out of the woodwork? And a lot of people say we should ignore it because, we know that there's going to be this big response, and with it, there's always going to be like 20 people who go way overboard who we don't condone.
Yeah.
But it's like we're trying to be witty or have things, and then they'll be, I want to like rape this person. It's like, oh man, why'd you go there?
Those
like,
are actually the nicer ones that we have.
yeah, it's like, don't go there. Like, no, that's a guy doesn't speak for us. Get him out.
Have you ever put a show on your network, your podcast network, whatever it is, that your own fans turn on and you're like, oh no?
No, I mean, our fans, I assume it's similar to you. They're the meanest to us but it's like a family. It's like, hey, we can say this guy's the worst and all this shit.
Until someone fucks with you.
Until somebody outside, you can't say that. It's like, so our guys get trashed no matter what, and we trash each other. I mean, I'm one of the kings. Like, we've had, I pulled a show. We gave a guy his own show, Nate at Night, and I canceled it after one episode. So, I mean, we're
Why'd
mean
you
to each
cancel
other.
it one episode?
It sucked.
Okay.
Like, it was so bad, and he was such a pain.
There was no redemption. You knew that this just stinks.
I didn't want to even give him a show. I'm like, your show's gonna stink. But if you were a Spider-Man, he's just a unique, weird dude, which I think plays. I'm like, if you do the show with a Spider-Man mask on, you got to wear it the whole time. I'll give you the show. He's like, no, that makes fun of the show. I won't do that. I want to take this serious. I'm like, this show's gonna stink. I don't want to give it to you. He begged me so much. I'm like, all right, I almost wanted him to do it just to prove how bad it would be, and it was horrible.
Right.
He may come back though in Sirius.
Yeah. Well, how
Nate at Night. Be on the lookout for Nate at Night
put
at
him
like
on the
2 a.m.
overnights? Yeah.
He still works for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, but you told him the show stunk and he took it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He didn't cry about it?
No, he cried a lot. He'll still like bitch and moan about
Oh,
it.
he's still upset?
You ever have employees that come in and they stop being creative because one of their coworkers doesn't like them?
I don't know if we've ever had that.
How would you handle that as a boss? Like if like you noticed that one of your people in the Barstool office was like sulking around and had their hood up.
You gotta tell him to grow up. Do you have is this going on?
You bet it is. Right before you walked in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was upset because one of the other staffers, not a staffer, He doesn't like him.
You got to just tell them to grow up. Or what we're doing, like we have a couple rivalries. We just bought a redneck boxing company, so we're throwing gloves on them and they're getting in the ring.
Why didn't we think of that?
You can have
Anthony would die.
He would die. Yeah.
I'm saying you could actually have them fight. They're more now that we're sort of in the same family. You're more than welcome to throw them in our ring. So if you want to have them box in our event, you're more than welcome.
Wait, do you guys have like a license for that?
Oh yeah, we bought a company. It's called
where do they fight?
Rough and Rowdy, West Virginia.
So you have to go to West Virginia for it.
We're starting to get licensed in other areas, but December 5th.
expanding it.
Yeah, December 15th, West Virginia.
Rough
this
and
is
Rowdy.
just-
Yeah.
This is just like a schlock, like boxing.
It's think like Butterbean Tough Man, except nobody like that. But because I've gone
Except
to
non-professionals.
non-professional, I've gone twice to it, and it was like the most amazing thing I've seen. Because the thing about boxing, the better you are, the almost boring of the fight because they're better at defending themselves.
Yeah.
Sure.
These guys run out to the ring full speed, chin first. Someone's either knocked down or they're out of gas.
Are
in
any
20
of them
seconds.
are any of them lackluster boxers?
Oh, they're all lackluster. Yeah, no, they are not great. But
I'd love to watch somebody like just go in with a head of steam
That's
and
what-
completely be blown
You
up.
enjoy
That's what
that?
happens.
Within a minute.
You enjoy that?
Oh,
It
just
is-
watching.
Yeah, that's what it is. It is not the sweet science. It
No.
is a completely different sport.
Just somebody who's watched boxing on TV.
Yeah.
They can throw a couple punches and thinks they should get in a ring.
That's pretty much what it is.
I love that.
It's electric. And then, before the first fight's over, the next guys are in the ring and there's grudge matches. It's pretty entertaining. So if these guys want to fight, they give them the green light.
Where are you going from West Virginia? Like, what's the next place you're looking at? Like,
So we're licensed now in South Carolina and North Carolina. I mean, the goal is to try to get it like everywhere and get the cliches of every state. So Massholes, Guido's in New York, like
I just love that,
everything.
Like UFC had to fight for decades to get legalized in New York, and you're like, yep, and we're bringing this to New York next.
Right. Well, they did. We've looked at those. Like UFC laid a lot of the groundwork in the same conventions. And to be honest, UFC started remember those early UFCs Hoist
Tough man,
Gracie
yeah.
putting 500-pound guys in his robe and choking them out. You didn't even see what was happening.
You'd have Tank Abbott in
Yes.
gym shorts versus some guy in a gi, and literally, it's just a guy swinging versus a guy doing karate kicks.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
I remember watching that, being like, "What am I watching?" That's sort of what we have.
But these aren't new. The difference is MMA was a different sport. You're just bringing boxing, which is kind of a sport that's already
Tough
established
man.
here.
Yeah.
Right.
So, is it the same rules as boxing or different?
Same.
Okay, so you might have an easier time because boxing is already legal here.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just you have to get around the idea of these people are
Not trained
unqualified
athletes.
or
Correct.
not skilled whatsoever.
And not
Correct.
professionals.
Right.
What is it that would
Right.
cause? What is the next step to make them professionals? Like, what do you have to do to become a professional?
Probably skill.
Yeah,
No, but that's
them wanting to. I mean, these guys never would. Like for this tournament, this has been around a little bit. If you win the tournament twice, you can't fight anymore. It's purposely not to put people in with killers.
Right. Right.
And some of them
Now,
get knocked out quickly.
Right. Yeah. Or really hurt. Yeah.
Does your CEO? Does she get it, or do you have to sell her on something like this?
She gets it.
She
Now,
does.
our investors were like, what are you buying? And it's all part and parcel. As crazy as it sounds like, oh, what is this guy talking about? He bought this tough man competition. It's all part of, I don't want Barstool to have to depend on advertisers. So
Right.
this is something where our crowd, it's a pay-per-view event. So we did a first one when we went down there before we owned it, and we sold 13,000 of them in a day without too much promotion for $5. We're going to do $9.99, and I think we can sell a lot. It's always where, guess what? I don't care if people don't like us. Our crowd likes us, and here's a way we can monetize
Especially
it.
because you can get your personalities on there as well.
Right.
Like you can have the tough man fights.
I was
but
like
then
the
also...
Joe Rogan of this event. I was like the play-by-play guy last time.
Right.
So which people like because half comedy, half weirdness. It was just a very unique mishmash of what Barstool is.
And then the same way this is happening, whoever's arguing on the Barstool show or your Barstool podcast,
Right, throw them in the ring.
they're getting in the ring.
But it's smart too to not be a slave to the advertisers because that will
That's-
give you so much more freedom, and that
Yeah,
will
you
prevent
have
you
to.
from fucking your brand.
Right.
Because the advertisers, look, they get a couple of complaints, they just panic. They're not even being dicks. They're like, we're spending a lot of money, we're getting complaints, and we're going to walk away.
Yeah, I mean, it's always with the advertisers, and I've been doing it. I was selling it. If someone's like, if this blows up, that's my ass on the line. Do I need this headache? And most of the time, the answer is no.
You ever see No Holds Barred? The movie with
Oh, yeah.
Tiny Zeus?
Yeah, of course.
That's what you're doing. The
Yeah.
Battle of the Tough Guys. That was their whole
yeah.
big network. It was just bar fights, and it was the Battle of the Tough Guys.
Yeah. No,
that's
that
it.
is really sort of what it is, except that these guys are just not professionals. I mean, there's a market for it. There really is.
And isn't it? Does it blow your mind that right now? Because I just realized it in my head that now you got this thing set up where you're going to be able to do live events, and now you've got a vehicle to do something that other brands don't have. You can broadcast the play-by-play live on Sirius XM.
Yeah, we can do it live.
Which, like, UFC doesn't have a radio counterpart to broadcast live, but you'll be able to this ridiculous like spectacle if you want.
Yeah, and we plan on doing all that. And again, we're good. Like we did it last time, and we can tell when we have something. Like people are like, what? It's just, and even me, it was 4 hours. I went by in a heartbeat. It's like I hadn't. In the characters from the backwoods of West Virginia, where we did this, I haven't been in a place where there was no cell phone service for 45 minutes. Like you couldn't use your phones.
You need a satellite phone in one of those places.
It was so remote. I mean, there was Confederate flags everywhere. I think they thought they won the Civil War. Right. Like everywhere there was a Confederate flag. There was signs like last time since we had a coal mining accident 2 days ago. Where am I?
You probably didn't mention to them that you were Jewish.
I was just thinking that because if you said I'm a Jew, they would have said, "What is that?" Like a fictional character we've heard of.
We have a clip of a guy full Confederacy outfit, like full. I'm like, what do you guys do around here on Friday nights for like fun? I was doing the crowd interviews. He goes, we do a lot of walking. That was his answer. So Friday nights we do a lot of walking.
But they must love that you guys come there.
They love it.
Like this big company, this crazy company that shows up and does something.
They don't
entertaining.
know who the hell we are. They don't have an internet.
They really don't.
No, but they see the cameras.
They don't have internet?
Right.
They didn't have cell phones. Like you couldn't. Like we had to bring our own internet. I'd never been in a place like, where'd you go? It's like we stayed 45 minutes away. That was the closest lodging. And it was, I mean, once you got in the car, you were disconnected from the world.
You are.
Are you actively fighting this idea that like Barstool is promoting this kind of bro culture that is all like white male and yeah, we make fun of everybody, but we're white men, so of course we can make fun of everybody. Like, is that something? Because that's the stigma that's attached to you guys.
It bothers me, but it feels like fighting the tides a little bit. I mean, we'll hire anybody at any time who I think is funny. I started the company. I grew up in a slightly upper middle class, like white neighborhood. I've hired who like I know and friends. I mean, we've had different like we've had women and like Jenna Marbles, who's a gigantic YouTube celebrity. Like I hired her like out of a tanning salon. She was our first like female employee. We launched a female website. You know, we've had like the guy who runs Complex Sports. We hired. He started. It is what it is. I mean, and then at the same time, I look at like Seinfeld. Like, you know, what was Seinfeld's audience? Probably similar to our audience, I would think, like demo-wise. That's a pretty good audience still to have. It's a tough thing to fight. I think our guys are normal guys. I don't think just because you're white, like, bro, that means necessarily bad things, even though that seems to have a bad connotation. So I flip-flop a little bit.
Because I know you guys, a while ago, because it ended up on Sirius, got into a fight with Peter Rosenberg online.
Well, that guy was, like, crazy.
Are you going to go up to Hot 97 and talk to him?
Yeah, if he wants us to. I mean, that guy.
Why did you fight with him?
We had a Super Bowl party, and he trashed it out of the blue. He's like, this party was everything I thought there'd be. There's all these white NFL quarterbacks and all these hot chicks there. It's like
terrible.
It's like the weirdest trashing of the party. And he texted our guys and like asked for an invite. He's like, I'm dying to go to this, and then he just went and trashed us.
Did he get the invite?
He did. He was there.
Oh, well, he did show up. Okay.
And then he murdered. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you? And he just seemingly. It's a hard thing because I think sometimes there is validity to people like with like white bros and what. I don't think we exemplify that, but he was just mad because we were white. Mm-hmm. Like that seemed to be his only complaint.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing else beyond it. It's like, you want us to apologize? Like if like Warren Moon was at the party, you would have been all right with it? Like, I don't understand.
But can you imagine if, say, Sway threw a party and he had a bunch of black players there, and can you imagine somebody going out and going, oh, it's just a bunch of black guys there? Like, it would never happen under any circumstances.
Right. And again, it's a weird thing because you don't want there's certainly sometimes there's a validity to it, but I went to a Barstool party at the Super Bowl. There's a lot of he said middle of the road NFL quarterbacks like Blake Bortles was there and guys like that. It's like, all right, and there was a lot of hot chicks. All right, I mean, yeah, that That's what we're gunning for at the Super Bowl. We're very happy with that.
Were the women being sexually promiscuous? I certainly hope not.
I hope they were, but I don't even think they were. I mean, that's even back in the day we used to do these blackout parties, and that's been misconstrued.
What's that?
It was literally black lights. We started in dorms. The logo was just putting a plug into an outlet, and then because of black lights, it became EDM parties basically, and girls would dress in tight little outfits, white, and people just started attacking us and them, being like, "You guys are promoting rape culture." It's like, how?
Yeah, dancing. You're not supposed to rape someone because they're dancing.
Well, was it because blackout parties, even though you're saying it's for black lights, it's because you're supposed to be getting blackout drunk, and then you have sex with a woman who's blackout drunk? That would constitute a rape.
But those are like wild leaps of. But that was
that's
what
the,
they were.
that's the argument. Yeah.
You're right, and we had there was actually a full blown protest. It was called KO Barstool. And we made a video of it, and it was about at Northeastern University, and they're protesting me personally. And I showed up to the protest, and they're screaming at me, and it was wild.
Why take the high road, right?
Why take the high road? And they are screaming at me. And then they marched to where we're doing the House of Blues in Boston. And you had one group of, I don't want to stereotype them, but overall, they weren't the most attractive group of women, screaming at the girls trying to get into the party, being like, "You don't respect yourself." And it's like, that to me is always the worst. Like, who are you to tell another girl how she should act, or she's just going out to have fun? Like, it's just a wild world.
Does any of it ever freak you out? Like, has there ever been a moment where, like, because we've all had these close calls or people complaining or people where you're like, this is a problem?
So I posted way back in the day a picture of Tom Brady's infant, his kid. He was naked. It was infant, like I'm talking like Chrysler, like baby on the tire. Yeah, so it was a picture of Giselle. It was a paparazzi photo. They were all over the internet. Right. Giselle was on a beach with the kid, and the blog was, check out the howitzer on Brady's kid. Looked like he had a huge hog. I stand by this joke. And I made a joke below. It's like Peyton Manning. I'm a huge Brady guy. I'm like, Peyton Manning could never have a kid like this. That was my joke. I'm like, that's a funny thing.
Who wrote check out the howitzer?
I did. That was the title of the blog.
Okay.
Again, the kid had to be like 20 seconds old. Like, to me, it was
brand new baby.
Right.
Like, so absurd.
Right.
That we all know what I'm going for.
Right.
Here.
Correct. That became a huge issue. The cops showed up at my house. It was.
But you didn't take the photo or initially post it. You were just commenting on it.
I didn't.
Well, he posted on his site.
Yeah, I posted on our site. It was a paparazzi photo.
Right.
It was all over the internet.
Right.
And Giselle continued to do it, being like, "This is our like we do." It wasn't like taken from. People made it sound like I was in a bush and took the photo myself. Not the case. That's the only time I'm like, shit.
Because there's children involved. So what happened? How did it? Why? What finally?
That's the only thing that I've really ever like taken down myself.
Oh, you took it down. Okay.
The cops basically said they were going to make my life difficult if I didn't.
Okay, but there was like they knew what it was and they probably couldn't do much about it. But you knew that this is not worth the headache because of what it was. Okay.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, this is not the battle to fight.
Right. I mean, if you have cops being like, we can really go through everything, like they can do anything we want to you if you don't help us out.
Go to the media and say, I just posted an innocent nude photo of an infant.
and that was one of them that's crazy because to me, I really do stand by. It was
funny joke,
right? And it was such a. I mean, there were some people's like, if you think that if you're saying he was sexualizing this, then you should go like get checked out because this kid's like 1 day old.
You're in a good position being here because we've all been in like scenarios where we do and say stupid things and like we worried about getting fired, we worried about the radio show going away. But Barstool has done a very good job of diversifying to the point where should you say something stupid on Sirius and Sirius is like, look, we have to terminate the contract, you can go, all right. Let me go and just broadcast anyway.
We've been terminated every single place we've been except Barstool.
Right.
Like literally, we've never like made it through a contract.
Because you keep your, like you said, in that bubble, they can't break you. They can just remove a little bit of money or remove the contract, but they can't fuck your brand.
And it's been a huge advantage that's probably let us get here as we got more successful. Nobody could ever fire me personally because I was the top guy. So it was like, all right, well, I'm still here. There's nothing you can, like, people who weren't familiar be like, you're going to get fired. It's like, who's going to fire me?
What is your fear with Barstool? Like, is there any fear you have? Like, okay, I got to make sure we don't fall into this trap or we don't do this wrong. Not getting in social trouble, but like just with the brand. Is there anything that scares you? Like, I want to avoid this.
You know, we're just shooting for we're playing for much higher stakes since that was the big. So when I did the investment. I sold half the company now almost 2 years ago. We're trying to become a much bigger brand. So there's bigger factors at play. Like the ESPN deal, I wouldn't have been interested in if we're not trying to grow the brand. So we somehow miss what we're trying to get to and lose what Barstool is in the process. That would suck.
The videos you guys put, I mean, we have a guy, the guy we're talking about does the video prep, and a lot of the interesting videos come from
It's really what I've noticed. It's amazing with Barstool is that now when I hire guys who are under 20, like 27 and under, and I go like, okay, like I need you guys to give me prep for the show because it's not just Anthony.
Sure.
I've had other guys that do the exact same thing. I get these show prep emails, and I've had to scold multiple people and tell them I don't need you sending me Barstool's Instagram, like because it's literally just like Barstool posted this and Barstool posted this and but it's you know I take it to like that's when I really got the reach that Barstool had and how like locked in.
Yeah, we're entrenched, and I think a lot of times even the people who criticize us, they just don't get always like you're throwing like a rock into a lake. Like you're not like we have this foundation that's been built over 15 years, so it's not easy just to rock it.
I don't think people understand the depth of the audience or how loyal they are or how like this is like Barstool becomes for a lot of these young guys and girls, I guess, but you know, in my experience, it's been guys like it's their news source, it's their sports source, it's their entertainment source. Like they've been with us
for like since early high school, sometimes younger. So
exactly.
You're not like, all right, we don't like this joke. It's like I've been reading everything they've done for a decade. Like Sam Ponder criticizing us does not change how I've spent the last decade. Right. I don't think a lot of people get that about us.
But you said it. You talk to sports fans the way sports fans think. Like sports fans don't normally think the way ESPN point. Like everybody's polite and PC. They kind of think and talk the way you guys think and talk, and that's why I think you have that great defense against Eric being totally taken down because you say something rude.
Totally, and you can see guys like ESPN. You see them trying to make the shift. If you watch like the segments they do, but they're so you can't just turn it on and be like, suddenly we're going to be the fan oriented. They look ridiculous when they do
fake edge.
Yeah.
They do fake edge, and as soon as one person's upset, they're like, "Oh my God, we didn't mean it."
Yeah, right.
And it's not real, so it doesn't feel real.
Yeah. I can't wait to do some digging after the show today. And talk to those Rush guys and see who's pissed about this.
Right.
I really am excited.
I actually thought that. I was like, I wonder what is happening to.
I'm going to find out today because even if they're moving just to another channel or something, they're still we've been building this channel for and it's like
that's my next ponder in like 3 years. Yeah. Someone from that channel will just come with a tweet. It's like, oh, I didn't know I had a grudge versus this person.
Travis is telling me we have to break because we have to, I think, take one more after this. It's Stool Presidente on Twitter, President with an E at the end of it, and of course Dave Portnoy. It starts January on Sirius XM here, channel 93, which is going to replace Rush. And it's going to be the Barstool Sports channel, which is going to be an entire 24 hours of you guys and your ideas and your content.
Yeah, very exciting.
And I love brands that are real life and have been built by like people. You know what I mean? Not phony company things that are corporate, but like, you know, this was a thing that started
handing out newspapers,
and then it grew and grew, and it stayed
like
true to its.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's very similar.
Exactly.
Very similar. Vice is the written thing, and all of a sudden it just takes off and it just resonates with people.
It's awesome.
So you guys aren't going anywhere.